welcome to my knitting channel. My name is Monica and this is August stash down. I'm quite excited to have this video today, though I'm also incredibly tired. So I am drinking a cup of tea, hoping I will actually get through the video before I have to go to bed. So yeah. I'm not wearing any knits today. I figured since this is not a normal video podcast, I'll just wear something different. And yeah, I'll start with what I've actually finished in August. I had 4 finished objects, which I am incredibly proud of, because it did for quite a while look like I wouldn't have any. So yeah, I'll start with the first one. I have them here in front of me. This is my green cable knit sweater. It is my own design and it's knit out of Rille thick merino in the colorway Misty Mountains. And I've been knitting on this absolutely all year. I think this might be the one I started the 1st of January, or it might actually be one left over from last year. It's left over from, no, actually this is the one that I started this year. I started it January 1st, so it took me absolutely ages. But I'm very happy to have it done. I used all of the yarn I had in this color. That means that I used 500 grams of this yarn. Technically I used more because each skein was a little bit over 100, but in my yarn stash I only had written 5 skeins of 100 gram each, so I'm only taking 500 grams out of stash, not the 535 or something that this sweater actually weighs. So yeah, this is the first one. And that's 500 grams out of my stash, and I'm very pleased with that. The second finished object, I think this is the second one. I might have finished the other one, the third one before this one, but I'm not certain. Anyway, this is my second Seascape pullover. It is a leftover yarn project, so most of it is leftovers, though I did have to buy two extra skeins of this Rauma Fivel that's at the top to be able to finish the sleeves. Everything else was out of my stash, which means with the 100 grams I bought to actually be able to finish it with this brown color, I used 362 grams of Rauma Fivel. I used 57 grams of Rauma MITU, which is this turquoise color. It's also called turquoise. And this dark green one is Rauma Trätråds. I used 40 grams of that one, and this light green one is Sandnes gynt, and I used 44 grams of that one. I also used 45 and 43 grams of Nea ullspinneri yarn called Nea. 2 different colorways, but very, very close. So I just slightly used a tiny bit of difference between them, or maybe the leftover yarn I got weighed a tiny bit different. But I did record how much I used of that one. I only used that for the hem. So yes. And I have forgotten to calculate how much those are together. Let me see. 362 and 57, 40, 44, 45, and 43. So that's actually almost 600 grams. It's 591 grams for this entire sweater. Which, to be honest, I didn't realize this one actually weighed more than the other one, because it doesn't feel like that. So yeah, it is a very thick, very warm sweater, and I really can't wait to use it. Also, I did not knit this to gauge. I was knitting it in the size 1, hoping to get the size 3, or at least the size 3, but I think I got close to size 4. So I'm actually very happy, because it's a lot more oversized than I thought it would be. So yeah. The third project I don't actually have with me, so I will try and remember to put up a picture up here. It's a baby bonnet that I knit using the pattern Baby Bear Suit by Knitting for Olive. I knit that one in the colorway, in the yarn Sandnes Garn Sunday, and I held it double. And I used 39 grams. That's not a lot at all. And I also knit a second version of that same pattern, but in Anita Strikketante. This is the colorway Orange. And this used 28 grams. So yeah. All in all, yes, that's all of the yarn that I used up. But that's not all of the yarn that's leaving my stash. Because I have decided, now that I have found a knitting friend that actually has a use for all of my leftover yarns and stuff like that, I am going to give her quite a lot of the single skeins I had left over that I didn't know what to use for. I have already used up all I can of my single skeins. That was also why I did Leftover Yarns project. I wanted to get as much as possible out. So I am giving away 450 grams of untouched yarn, basically. There could have been more, but I wasn't quite ready to let go of anything more. I do still have ideas, and yeah, just not quite ready to give it all away. When it comes to the yarn that I got into my stash, there's the 100 grams I bought to finish the Seascape sweater. That's 100 grams of Rauma Fivel, which conveniently just left the stash again. I only have this left, which does look like a lot, but I do a center pull, so it is actually less than half a skein. And other than that, I realized I had done a counting error. I looked through all of my yarn. I just looked through to see if there was something that caught my eye and I wanted to do something, and I was like, 2 skeins of that yarn, that doesn't seem right. And I looked over into my stash and I was like, no, I have 3. Because there's this yarn called Hverdagsluxus from Strikkekista. I bought 3 skeins of the red one and 3 skeins of the red one. The red one is in a slightly different type of yarn. But I knew I had 3, so when I saw in my stash that I had only noted 2, I knew I had done a mistake. So I fixed that, I added in that 100 grams, so all in all this month I have had 200 grams come into my stash, which I think is fair. 100 grams went in and then straight out, and 100 grams were just a mistake when I counted, so it's technically never left my stash. I just didn't know. And that means that all in all 200 grams came in and 1,608 grams left my stash, which is amazing. But that does mean that the total leaving my stash for August is 1,408 grams. I'm very happy with that. And with that, I just have to look up my notes. I started August with 27,225 grams, and now I have 25,819 grams, which is amazing. I also did a little bit of calculating. I started this in May. So I haven't gotten all year's worth of yarn. But if I take a rough average throughout the months I have done this, I will use between 6 and 8 kilos of yarn each year, which also means I will be using how many years? I knew I did write it down, but of course now I've forgotten. That's not correct. Oh yeah, I calculated wrong. I will use between 4.5 and 3.5 years. So between, let's say, 4 and 5 years to actually use up all my stash if I don't get anything in. Which is both crazy and also makes me feel a lot better, because I was quite convinced that I was going to use a decade or more to get all of my yarn out of stash. I don't have a plan of actually getting to 0, but just knowing that I haven't passed the lifetime amount of yarn that I can use is a very good feeling for me. And I also don't plan on actually buying a lot more yarn, saying that I did have to order yarn for a gift I'm going to give away. I've been looking for that yarn for months, so yeah, I finally had to cave, and I looked up 15 different yarn stores online before I finally found one that 1 shipped to where I live, and 2 had a quantity more than 1 skein of the color I wanted. Felt kind of silly. But yeah, I'm going to use that for 2 projects. One is the gift I'm going to give away. The other is I'm going to pair it with this yarn and make a sweater that's a bit more muted in the colorway than what it already is. The colorway is called Carnival, and when you kind of look at the yarn you can understand why, because it's got blue and green and pink and everything in between. And I just want it a tiny bit more muted, so that when you look it up from afar, you think, oh, that's a white-ish sweater. And you come closer and you can see the colors. I don't want it to be in your face, because I already have a sweater like that. So yeah, that's the plan. I don't think I'm gonna make that one cable though, because I think I want it to be some kind of texture, but something that don't cinch in the fabric too much, because I want it a bit more oversized, and I only have 5 skeins. So that's the plan. But yeah, I am very, very surprised with how much I've gotten out of my stash this month. Of course, 450 grams are literally leaving my stash as just a gift, I guess. But I still got more than 1,000 grams out of my stash just from knitting. And that feels amazing. So yeah, short and sweet and all of that. If you liked what you saw, you can see more of my knitting podcast and also the rest of my Stash Town video series. And yeah, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!